It's not even been a week, and Donald Trump is already back, baby, opening the office of the former president to issue statements from Palm Beach as he remains barred from social media. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the office of the former president can and will do. I guess the general idea is Trump wants to continue pursuing his policy agenda, and many have speculated that Trump will be a kingmaker. That's right. When someone wants to run for office on the Republican ticket, Trump can say that's the person to vote for, and then people will. But I'm not entirely convinced that'll be all that effective. It's interesting to see Trump still staying in the spotlight, not going away. It's certainly great news for the media, who's probably already panicking. Now they're probably excited they can still talk about Trump. But in the end, when you look at 2018, when you look at the midterm elections, and when you look at the runoff in Georgia, without Donald Trump on the ticket, these people didn't fare all that well. So I'm not sure Trump will actually be that kingmaker. Now, there's other conversations about the Patriot Party, a third party which will rival the GOP. Many conservatives are concerned, Republicans are concerned, that if the party splits between the MAGA patriots and the Republicans, then Democrats will just win everything. I don't think so. I think that's wrong. I think many of these Trump supporters aren't going to vote anyway. So why not just try something? But we'll see. There's FEC filings for the Patriot Party, and Donald Trump is actually distancing himself from the Patriot Party, which will be interesting. I think what happened was Donald Trump was talking about doing potentially a third party. People got wind of it through the news, and then a bunch of people said, we're going to start it up, first in, best dressed. And then Trump was like, no, we're not working with them. I think it's a huge lost opportunity if Trump doesn't go for the Patriot Party. We'll talk about this, though. I am bullish on a third party. A lot of, like I mentioned, Republicans are like, no, we'll lose then. You're going to lose anyway. Now, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but look at the runoff elections. Without Trump on the ticket, you got nothing. And I think the Democrats are going to continue to press forward. I guess they're saying that 2022 will be Republican because there'll be a backlash. We'll see. But it would be a wasted opportunity. Let's read the news from Business Insider that say Trump opened an office of the former president to issue statements from Palm Beach as he remains barred from most social media. Former President Trump has opened a new office of the former president. And like I said, they're basically saying he's going to pursue his agenda. We'll read this. But before we move forward, make sure you go to timcast.com and become a member to help support my work and make sure that when we invariably get banned, then you'll still be able to get our content. I know a lot of people like to say, Tim, you're not going to get banned. You're too tepid. It's not true. Facebook shut down my page. They put restrictions on it, which effectively makes it pointless to post. Posts don't go anywhere. It's just completely dead. The channel's done, gone on Facebook. I never really cared anyway because I didn't really use Facebook all that much, but I did have hundreds of thousands of people who followed me there. And now there's no point in posting because they're not going to see the post and I can't do anything with them anyway. So believe me when I say the purge is real. It's coming. And, if you want to support my work, go to timcast.com. We got a post about the Portland mayor pepper spraying some dude, and we're all making fun of him. And then we actually have this behind the scenes video where Alex Jones raids Luke Rudkowski's RV and wakes him up. It's funny. And seriously, we're trying to make sure that in the event there's a mass purge, we survive it. So greatly appreciated for your support. Business Insider goes on to say, on Monday, a number of journalists received the first missive from the office, which pledged to carry on the work of the Trump administration. Quote, today, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, formally opened the office of the former president, the statement said. The office will be responsible for managing the President Trump's correspondences, public statements, appearances, and official activities to advance the interests of the United States and to carry on the agenda of the Trump administration through advocacy, organizing, and public activism. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant. The office of the former president. Now, some people are saying, Trump, you can't just come out and announce your shadow presidency publicly. It's not how it works. You got to keep it a secret. Otherwise, it's not a shadow government. And I don't think it's actually a shadow government. A lot of people accused Barack Obama of running a shadow government. Sure. Look, former presidents, especially younger ones with influence like Obama, are going to hang out and tell people what they want them to do and what they think is a good idea. And Barack Obama remains widely popular. Former presidents are allowed to give opinions and give advice. That's just reality. Donald Trump is now going to be doing the same thing. Of course, you're going to see the left start screaming that Trump is trying to form a shadow government and he's a fascist and he won't go away. Why? Mostly because the media was really scared that without Donald Trump, their jobs are over. Me, I don't know. I'll talk about whatever. I talked about Biden the other day. I'll talk about Biden. I'll talk about Democrats. We'll talk about cultural issues. We got some crazy stuff about GameStop and Wall Street bets. I just talk about what I think is important. But in this regard, Donald Trump is going to remain active in the public spotlight. And I think it's a great thing. I think it's brilliant. Conservatives desperately need organizing power. And Trump is bringing that to the right. Now, more importantly than any of this, though, conservatives need cultural power. The Daily Wire is doing movies. That's brilliant. But y'all need to get on your game. Just having Trump come out and organize for you is not going to be enough to compete with movies and video games when they're getting woke. And even if they are going broke, they're still there. And if you want to play a video game, you're going to get what you get. Remember when that Battlefield game came out and it had some like purple haired lady with a prosthetic hand or something? And people were like, is this Fortnite or is this World War I? I don't know, you know. So that's the point. People are going to, there's a really interesting tweet. I'll put it this way, where someone says a black woman invented the telescope. I know you may have seen evidence to the contrary. I know you may believe that it's not true, but a black woman invented the telescope, and you need to ask yourself, is this worth losing my job over? The post was being sarcastic, but was making that point. It's a really, really good point that if you start saying no and rejecting this fringe ideology and this cultural shift, they'll call you a bigot, a white supremacist, a racist, and they'll try and take your job away. It's very easy to get targeted by the mob. And then big corporations are scared because they don't want to get targeted, and they'll disavow and they'll cut you off. That's the future we're headed towards unless conservatives get on the culture game. But I'll tell you this, okay? Organization is one of the most important things. We got that now from Trump. They say the new office's logo, which you can see in the tweet below, also appears to be a black and white copy of the logo of the executive office of the president of the United States. It does. Trump left D.C. for his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach on the morning of January 20th. Just hours before the inauguration. In the run-up to his departure, a number of reports detailed how Trump was mulling over a series of career moves to pursue in his civilian life. Trump was said to be considering reviving his TV career, building a $2 billion presidential library, launching a TV or social media network, or running as for president again in 2024. I think that's likely. You know, we'll see. Since becoming an ex-president, Trump has kept a low profile. I'd like to point something out, too. There's a funny meme that the people over at the Donald were sharing. They said Donald Trump announces he's opening the office of the former president. Q didn't predict that one. I've seen so many people, and I've had a few people just like posting all of this crazy Q stuff. And no matter how many times I tell them it's not true, they just don't want to believe it. They're like, Donald Trump will be president. No, he's now even calling himself the former. Yeah, but he's not serious. It's meant to just trick people. He's calling himself the former president. Joe Biden's been inaugurated. What more do you want? Perhaps they want Trump to run again. Trump does want to run again, says former acting intelligence chief Richard Grenell. Of course Trump does. That's why they may convict him for his impeachment. Trump has been impeached. The Senate trial is going to be happening, I think, in like a week from now. They might impeach him. There's some rumors. I think it was, I can't remember who put this out there. They may do a secret vote. That way Republicans can vote to convict Trump to keep him out so he can't run again. And then they can pretend like, oh, no, it wasn't me. Don't look at me. I didn't do it. And no one will know. But I tell you this, that would be Republican Party suicide. That's what I'm talking about right now. Listen, Richard Grenell came out. He told Newsmax Saturday that the president personally a number of times says he does want to run again. We also have a video where Trump says we're trying really hard to win this one. And if we don't, we'll see you again in 2024. So I think Trump does want to. I don't know if he will, though, because, like, let's be real. Trump is going to be, he'll be like 8. Well, how old is he? 77? What is he going to be, like 80? Is it Trump that old? He'll be, it's just, you know, he's already a really old dude. Anyway, they go on to say Grenell reiterated that he hopes Trump will campaign in 2024 as a member of the GOP, given that he is currently the head of the Republican Party. Another former Trump administration figure on the same news segment, Sebastian Gorka, mocked HBO host Bill Maher and some Democrats for recently equating Trump's Patriot Party movement to the rise of Germany's Nazi party. Jeez, man. Bill Maher, calm down. Dude's got Trump derangement syndrome. The Patriot Party is never going to be the biggest. Well, I should say for now, won't be the biggest party. But I think they have to do it. Why? So there's this rumor of a secret vote, right? Where what's going to happen is they're going to put up Trump on trial. Trump's struggling to find a defense attorney or a defense lawyer, I guess. And then they're going to say, okay, nobody tell anyone who you voted for. All of a sudden, then you'll see Trump convicted. The Republicans will all in unison say, which one of you did this? Because I supported the president. Don't look at me. All that means is that when regular Americans go to cast their ballots, they're going to assume you all did it. All of you did it. There's no point in a secret vote, okay? So maybe it won't really happen. Maybe it's just a rumor. If you do a secret vote, you are throwing every single Republican out the window, figuratively. That people are just going to assume it was every single one of them that did it, and this was just a ruse, and they're not going to vote for him. More importantly, they ain't going to vote for you anyway, dude. Look, I voted Republican this time around, so when you see those numbers, that's including people like me. I don't like Republicans. I've never liked Republicans. I guess Ron Paul and Rand Paul, but they're like libertarians. Let's be honest. There's only a small handful of politicians, but I'll be completely honest. I think there's more good Republicans than Democrats. There's some, I like Tulsi Gabbard a lot. She's awesome. She put out a statement recently about the Adam Schiffs and the John Brennans being more dangerous than the people who stormed the Capitol. I'm like, here. Talking about police states and big tech and oligarchy. I love it. Oh, Tulsi's great. But Tulsi's not in office anymore. So I can't tell you if there's any good Democrats that I like. But you got people like Thomas Massey, you got Rand Paul, and I think they're pretty good. Ted Cruz has been doing a pretty good job. But policy-wise, I'm not a big fan of the Republicans. And I think the Republicans, in the end, are just a bunch of, look, what are they advocating for? What are they fighting for? What are they pushing for? Nothing. They're approving all of Biden's people, just expediting it all through. The Democrats didn't do that for Trump. The Democrats have been fighting a war. And the Republican Party's been like, under Mitch McConnell, like, well, they're just slowing us down. And then they're not really doing anything. Like, are they advocating for any policy, or are they just giving the Democrats what they want or slowing the Democrats down? That's it. After this, why would anybody vote Republican? Sure, there's going to be a bunch of people who walk in and say, just Republican for me. Democrats are bad. And there's going to be a lot of people who say, no Trump, no vote. That's it. Look, we saw it in 2018. Trump came out and he kept saying, you have to act as though I'm on this ticket. If they take the House, they will impeach me. And they did. But Trump supporters wouldn't come out unless Trump was on the ticket, to their own detriment. Trump tried warning them. They didn't listen. In 2020, Republicans did really well. Really well. Not well enough, but they won back a lot of House seats. They defended the Senate more than people realized, but Democrats still took it. Why? Because in the Georgia runoff, Trump wasn't on the ticket. And so people didn't show up. So look, with all due respect to Jack Posobiec, he tweets, a Patriot Party means Democrats would dominate elections. And he posts this Just the News poll. They ask, suppose President Trump left the Republican Party and formed a Patriot Party. In the 2024 presidential election, would you be likely to vote for the Republican candidate, the Democratic candidate, the Patriot Party candidate, or some other candidate? 17% said Republican, 46% said Democrat, 23% said Patriot, and 14% said other. This is important. First of all, let's talk about the presidential election. I agree. If the Patriot Party is Trump's preferred party and he's running on that ticket, the Republicans will get wiped out and Democrats will win. I'm more than happy to see that happen. You know why? Because the Democrats will win anyway. Look, people are saying, no, that's not true. Okay, hold on. If Donald Trump is running as the Republican Party candidate, okay, then he might actually win. But you'll see another news cycle about Trump refusing to give up. You'll see the insane media get 10 times worse than they've ever gone. There will be crazy domestic terror provisions. They'll start locking people up. They will recoil. That's why I think they will convict him. But I'm not entirely sure. I'm not saying I can give you a good prediction. I don't know. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. I'm kind of leaning towards they have to. Otherwise, he's going to run again. Now, take a look at this. If 23% of people support the Patriot Party, the Republicans are done. They're done. How many Patriot Party people are going to vote Republican? Of the 23%, it's not going to be all of them. And guess what? If you combine the Patriot Party with the Republican, they still lose to the Democrats. So perhaps the best thing you can do is make sure the Republicans know that their betrayal of Trump has basically removed you as a Republican Party supporter. More importantly, a lot of people are just going to straight up say they never supported the Republican Party in the first place. I'll be honest, I'm not necessarily going to be supporting a Patriot Party candidate. It's all about whether or not they're pushing good policy. And maybe if the policy is similar to what Trump was doing with school choice, pulling our troops out of the Middle East, with banning critical race theory, those things I like. Reducing drug prices, at least to the best of his ability, by allowing people to buy generic drugs from other countries, things I like. Trump's far from perfect. Trump's first several years of foreign policy were disastrous. So we will see if I'm interested in voting for anything like that. But I'd imagine most Trump supporters probably are. I probably would have said other if asked, to be completely honest. So I'd be willing to bet many of these other voters might actually support a Patriot Party ticket. James Lindsay responded to Jack Posobiec saying, it would have to be a true coalition party called the American Party or something else suitably centrist and based on driving the nut jobs on both sides out of power and rooted in big, hard, obvious compromises to build the biggest tent possible. I agree. Look, man, we've got Tulsi Gabbard coming out ragging on Brennan and Schiff and big tech oligarchs. And we've now got the Socialist Workers Party and another socialist group being banned on Facebook. They've revolted and Facebook's reinstated them. But I'm like, yo, can we focus our anger and ire at the big tech oligarchs? Screw the establishment, the Democrats. They're populist leftists and people like Jimmy Dore and people who like Jimmy Dore and follow him and trust him. And we can agree on a lot of things together. And that, I believe, would be the first step in creating a new two-party system. The establishment cronies and the populists. Now, the establishment cronies don't agree on much of anything except give me money and power. So they can pretend to be like, I'm for this policy. No, I'm for that policy. And they don't really care because they found their unity. Their unity is give us power, empower the revolving door of the establishment, authoritarian corporations and political machine. And we don't care what the laws are. Oh, the people are pro-life. Oh, the people are pro-choice. They don't care. All they care about is getting power. Look at some of these people, man, Democrat and Republican alike, who miraculously just make all the best stock trades right before some regulatory power drops. Look, people are going around right now saying, isn't it interesting that Nancy Pelosi bought all of this stock in Tesla and now Biden's announcing he's converting the federal fleet to electric cars? Interesting. Yeah, maybe it's a coincidence, but come on, man. These people know the rules and the laws they're going to be passing. They can hear what Biden is saying because they're in the party and someone's going to be like, I hear Biden's going to do this. So they go and buy. It's corruption. How about we find some populist right and populist left and say, we may disagree on a ton of stuff, but can we get rid of the establishment who are ripping us off? Remember when the protest was about the 1% versus the 99%? Yeah, they really drove a wedge between that. Well, maybe people have finally had enough. Maybe it's time you stop letting them divide you based on race or whether or not you paid your taxes, right? Because one of the big responses to Occupy Wall Street was you had we're the 99%, and then you had people responding with we are the 47%. The 47% of people who actually pay taxes. What was the point of that? I remember seeing it and I'm like, I hear you. I respect it. But come on. If you get a bunch of people who are coming out and saying, the big banks are stealing our money, why would you be like, well, I pay my taxes? The point was it was a divide and conquer tactic. And so is critical race theory. I'd love to have two political parties. I got no problem with two-party system as long as it's like populist left and populist right being like, well, we don't want massive corporate interests, monopolies and oligopolies taking over. We can agree on that. Now let's talk about that healthcare policy. I'd rather start there. You want to get people to talk about police and defunding the police and all that stuff? Sure. Let's talk about authoritarianism being bad. So right now, here's what I see. Maybe there won't really be a Patriot Party. Donald Trump is distancing himself from the new Patriot Party. And it could be because there's a new party's founder claiming that they're holding joint fundraising activities. And maybe Trump is like, that's not me. When Trump announces it, he'll announce it. Okay, maybe. I think it has to be done. Because I'm telling you right now, if people are already split this much, they're not going to vote Republican anyway. Now, some people have said to me, Tim, we're not a parliamentary system. Coalitions don't make sense. What needs to happen is a caucus within the Republican Party. I disagree. I absolutely disagree. Nobody wants to vote for Republicans. Look, I know that the left blindly support the Democrats, but I think there's got to be some kind of, like James Lindsay said, America Party. Check it out. Let's say you get a party of right and left-wing individuals who are populists, like Jimmy Dore, Tulsi Gabbard, and then, people on the right, maybe Crowder, or I don't know if Crowder is entirely populist. I don't know his I think he might be traditional conservative. But let's say you just get populist right and populist left, and they disagree on everything, but together they strip enough power away from Democrats and Republicans so that the Democrats and Republicans need the vote of the America Party to get their bills passed. Look at it this way. Let's say you've got, what do we have? 435 members of Congress. So let's say you've got 200 Republicans, 200 Democrats, or maybe you've got 200 Republicans and 205 Democrats, but 30 America Party candidates. Well, now neither will get the majority without support of the America Party or the Patriot Party, whatever it might be. The Democrats come up and say, Rashida Tlaib has proposed this bill to stop the expansion of executive authority. She's proposed this. She said we shouldn't allow it. I completely agree with her and my respect for her calling it out. Let's say then the establishment Democrats say, harumph, no, we won't allow it. But a bunch of Republicans come up and say, we want to vote for this too. Then the America Party comes in and says, we're going to side with Rashida Tlaib, and we've now built the coalition we need to crush the establishment cronyism. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm not even saying it's likely. I'm saying just try, man. So you know what? I'll be honest. If the Patriot Party comes out and they've got a remotely acceptable position, I'd probably vote for it. You know why? Just to get the Patriot Party above 5% in a presidential race so that the FEC, I guess it matches their federal campaign funding or something like that. We need a third party to challenge the machine. I don't care if Democrats win again. They already won. They're going to win again with no Trump on the ticket. The Patriot Party can embody the values that Trump brought, not the culty nonsense that the left claims, but like the legitimate stuff, like protecting American workers, getting our troops out of the Middle East. Not something Trump was doing particularly well, but he tried in the end. Let's get those values. Let's get that rolling. Something that the American people will be like, I actually want to vote for that. More importantly, let's shatter this two-party system where private entities control who gets to run in the first place. I'm sick of it, man. Look, I'll probably vote third party come 2022. We'll see how things play out. It's 2 years. It's about 2 years, and I don't know what's going to happen. And maybe something will change, but I'll probably end up voting third party. Give me one that's going to have a chance. You can disagree, but I'm not voting Republican, so we'll see what happens. That coalition is already broken. But I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you go to timcast.com, become a member if you really want to support our work, and I will see you all at 1 p.m. on this channel.